In this episode, we are going to talk about my latest finished project, my works in progress, which is one garment, a scarf, and some socks. And yes, let's get into the project. Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mariette, also known as die Boervrou, and this is episode 52 of the Crafty Stitches Podcast. Today is the 14th of December 2023. When I'm recording this, it is a Thursday. I'm forgetting the days of this week. This week has been flying. But anyway, I think it's Thursday, the 14th. So tomorrow is the last day before I go on 3 weeks of leave. So yeah, I'm forgetting the days of the week. But never mind. I brought myself some coffee to drink while I chat about my projects. This mug, I'm not sure if I've shown it before. It just says coffee on it, with a little heart. As you would know, I'm a sucker for hearts. Anyway, so I brought myself some coffee to drink while I chat about these projects. And yes, let's get into the projects. This coffee is really, really good. We have recently changed from coffee supplier and the coffee is very, very good. I'm really enjoying this coffee. Anyway, so let's get into the finished projects, which is also what I'm wearing. Right, so my finished project that I would like to share with you today is my 5th ranunculus that I've knit now. I knit this as part of a make-along that I hosted with my friend Leonie from Independence Yarn Crafts over on Instagram. I will put the hashtag on the screen if you'd like to see that on Instagram. And yes, I am super happy with this project. I actually knit 3 sleeves again. It seems to be a trait of mine, knitting more sleeves than I need. One day I will know when I use this size of needles, I need more or less that amount of stitches. I did knit the one sleeve completely, washed and blocked it, and I decided it was too tight. So I ripped it back and I used the crinkly yarn and I knit the sleeve back again. And I think I've learned my lesson with knitting with crinkly yarn that's already been knitted before. I think because of the color of the garment, I can now see much better, see the stitch definition much better. So previously it didn't really bother me, I didn't really see anything different, but on this garment I can see a definite difference in stitch definition when knitting with yarn that's already been knit with and not washed, and yarn that has not been knit with yet. So I will put a picture up on the screen. I hope that you'll be able to see that. There is definitely a difference in the 2 sleeves. It is not that much that I'm going to rip it out again and wash the yarn, and no. I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm learning this lesson for the future. So this sleeve has got beautiful stitch definition, and this one's stitch definition is a little bit wonky. But I'm going to love the top as it is, and I'm not ripping back. So that is major progress for me, because in the past I think I might have ripped it back. Anyway, I did lots of modifications on this ranunculus. I knit with a fingering weight yarn, which is a 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon blend. It is just plain undyed. As it came off the cone, I just washed and bloomed it to remove all the spinning wheels, and I knit with it without being dyed. I love the color. The more I look at it, the more I love it. She says while complaining about keeping things white, but anyway, so we will see how this goes. I will hopefully be able to wear it a little bit this summer on cooler days like today. We shall see how that goes. Currently I am not wearing a tank top underneath it. I think it's fine. I have a flesh colored bra underneath, and it doesn't seem to be a problem. If I put on a white one, however, it stands out like crazy, but flesh colored seems to be the thing. So we shall see if I keep wearing it like this, and if I do want to wear a tank top underneath, I do have one, but for now I think this is fine. So I knit it with 4mm needles instead of the recommended 6mm needles. I changed the cast on. I did a long tail cast on of 70 stitches on the 4mm needles, and I think I might have done 80 rather in next time if I do it with 4mm again, because it is a little bit too small for my liking, but it's not so that it bothers me really. It's just I think I would have liked it a little bit bigger. I also changed the short rows. I did not do the short rows in the front. I brought my short rows further around the neck, more or less to my collarbones. I did more increases, raglan increases, and I changed the increases. In the pattern it calls for knit front back and knit back front increases, and when I ripped back after doing a few of those, because I can't remember what was the problem. Oh, the sleeves were too small. So I ripped back and then I decided to do lifted increases. So I did right lifted increases and left lifted increases, and I really kind of like the look of that. It's not that obvious. If you don't know it, you wouldn't even notice a difference. But I just wanted to try different increases because of the little bit of a sloppy look with the knit back front increases, if I remember correctly. I cannot remember. We had this discussion in one of the meetups and we were talking about some of the increases looking a little bit sloppy, and we were suspecting that because the ranunculus is knit at such a big gauge, you don't really see that, but because we are now manipulating the whole thing and knitting it at a much tighter gauge, it seemed a bit obvious, and I wanted to do different increases. So I really like these. I did some lifted increases in the past in the Outstranding Shawl by Christy Archer. I did some lifted increases and I really enjoyed that, and there is some lifted increases in the pattern anyways, so I just added the other side of lifted increases and stick to that. So I did more increases, and then I did some A-line shaping. I did not do much. I think in total I only did 8 stitches, and I wanted a more fitted garment, and that is exactly what I got. So I'm very, very happy with this project. I did all of the twisted knit and normal purl stitches for the ribs. I did a small ribbing on the side here, and I did a nice and deep ribbing, I think 7 or 8 centimeters worth of ribbing at the bottom hem as suggested in the pattern, and then of course I lengthened it by a lot because I don't do crop. And yes, I think that is more or less everything that I changed. I think I did talk in the previous episode about changing the ratio of splitting for the raglan increases, because I do have a little bit of bigger upper arms. So I took 5 stitches from the front for this sleeve and 5 stitches for that sleeve, and I did the same at the back. So my sleeve stitches was 10 stitches more than recommended in the pattern. So I took a little bit from the front and back stitches for the sleeves, and that worked out perfectly. I think I picked up 14 stitches underneath the arm, 14 or 16, I'm not exactly sure. I will definitely make sure that it is linked on my project page, but I cannot now recall exactly. I think it might have been 16, because I think I picked up 8 on the one side of my marker and 8 on the other side. I think it's 16. But anyway, so that is what I did. I just knit straight little sleeves. I think I did 22 rounds for my sleeves. Should have been 20, but I was knitting away before I counted, and when I saw I was at 22, I was like, just do ribbing. So I just finished with ribbing. I also changed the bind off. Actually, in the pattern it is called for the Laurie's Twisty bind off. I did do that on the bottom hem, but I did not like the effect because it didn't have enough stretch. I find that I really like stretchy bind offs for the body of my garment, especially when it's a little bit more fitted. I do not notice it on my other ranunculi that I've knitted. I think the first and the second in the cotton yarns, I did the Laurie's Twisty bind off, and it doesn't bother me at all there because I've got lots of more positive ease. But here it did bother me a bit, so I just ripped that back, and then I did Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy bind off. I knit my rib with 3.5mm needles, and I did the bind off with a 4mm needle, and that is looking beautiful. I don't see any flaring so far, so I'm really happy with that. I did exactly the same for the sleeve bind off as well. Alright, I think that is it for my ranunculus. I'm super happy with this project, and I'm looking forward to wearing it and seeing how the undyed color works for me, and I'm very excited. I'm so happy with this. Very, very happy with this project. If you have not knit a ranunculus yet, there is nothing to be afraid of. And if you knitted a few, well, you can never have enough. So you might see some more in my future next year. Let's see. Okay, good. Let's move on to whips. I have quite a lot of progress to share with you today. So I am going to start with my longest standing whip, which is the Bella blouse. And I'm sure some people is a little bit sick of hearing me talk about this one, but I really, really love it. And I made lots of progress on this one, and I cannot wait to share it with you. So for this project, I am using the Cotton Kings Cone cotton yarn from Hobie. This is the label, and this is the information. And I got this yarn as a gift from my friend Liani from Independence Yarn Crafts when she was on holiday in the Netherlands, and she brought this back. And this is the cone, and at the moment it is not attached to the knitting. So beautiful, beautiful gray. And I think there's lots of yarn left on this cone. My project is not finished yet, but I'm surprised at how much yarn there is left on this cone. So this project is knit bottom up, and I did A-line shaping for it quite a lot. I cast on for the 6th size. I think it's an extra large, and then I decreased for A-line shaping to the stitch amounts for the 4th size, which would then be medium. Right, so in the previous episode I was about, I think it was about 10 rows into the patterning on the front, And then afterwards, I did have to, after recording the previous episode, I did have to rip back, I think 2 or 4 rows. It was rows by then, I think. Yes, because that was flat. Because you start the patterning while still working in the round, and then you bind off a few stitches, and then you just do front and back, knitting front and back for the fronts and the back. It sounds very funny. You then start knitting flat. Anyway, so after recording the podcast, I was editing and I was thinking I might knit on this a bit while I'm editing. And I noticed when I sat down to edit that my lines were not lining up. So what happened is I started binding off stitches 1 stitch too late, basically. So all of my lines that should have gone straight was then broken and went there. So I ripped back to the first row, and then I manipulated the stitches a little bit. I did not want to rip back and do all the binding off again, so I just stole a stitch on the one side and bound it off. And yeah, I manipulated it a little bit to get my stitches to line up properly, and then I just went for it. And I really enjoyed doing the lace work. I did have a few hiccups here and there, but I think it's just because I'm not really that familiar with lace work. But anyway, so without keeping you waiting to see this anymore, I've actually finished the front panel and the back. Isn't that pretty? So I was very worried when I finished this project, because this patterning was like down there, almost underneath my bra, and I was not intending to wear this with something underneath it. And then I remembered, okay, wait, this yarn actually shrinks a little bit in row gauge. So I remember from the body, 18 centimeters of knitting would actually shrink into 16. So I washed and blocked it, and I hoped for the best, and I checked on it constantly while it was still damp. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to rip this whole front panel out and start it a little bit lower, because I cannot just take off on the top, because then this will get higher and higher. Anyway, because if the whole thing is too long, then the length of the body will also be not the same anymore. Luckily, it seems to be fine. It is a little bit too long. I would say about maybe half a centimeter, maybe a centimeter, around there. But I decided, before starting to rip back and doing anything else, I'm deciding to first add the neckline, because the neckline gets a little bit of ribbing, and I am almost 90% positive that this neckline is going to just cinch it in a little bit, just that little bit that I maybe need. So I decided, before going completely rogue and ripping out 2 or 3 rows and lifting this more up to my neck or whatever, I'm first going to add the neckline, because I'm sure the neckline is going to give this thing more structure. So that is the plan. I'm first going to add the neckline, and then I must decide on the sleeves. Do I want it sleeveless? Do I want the butterfly sleeves? Or do I really want long sleeves? I'm intending this for a summer garment, even though it is a little bit dark, but it's not that dark, but it's still a darker color than white. I'm really liking the look of the butterfly sleeves. I'm just not sure how that would suit me and how I would feel with it. But I might try that first. I think so. It's a lot of stitches, because I shouldn't have read further into the pattern, but it's a lot of stitches. But I'm really, really liking the look of this. I'm starting to see that I like this V-type shapes on me a little bit more. I'm not used to wearing lots of V-neck things, but this just gives the illusion of a V-neck, and I really, really like it. I'm surprised at how much. I'm not sure about the cast on for this project because there's basically no stretch in it, but hopefully it is big enough to not bother me. We shall see when I actually wear it. I'm so excited about this project. I just could not put it down when I started this front, and it is interesting that the front and the backs is exactly the same height. There is no extra like short rows or extra rows to build the back up a little bit. It is exactly the same length, in my opinion. But yes, loving, loving, loving the look of this. So that is the Bella blouse. I'm knitting this with 3.5mm needles, and I think the ribbings is done in 3mm. Looking forward to finishing this project up. So hopefully in the next episode this might be a finished project. I would really, really love to get this done this year. I would really love to get it done. Right, that is the Bella blouse. I have two more projects that I would like to share. One is an old one, which was technically finished until I decided it was not. And the other one is the shawl that I started, a new project. I did talk about this before. I showed the yarn and I said that I'm intending to make a little kindness shawl again. And I think I might stick to the kindness shawl and not one of the other variations in this pattern. But this is the yarn that I'm using. It is from Knotty Habit. It is a 4-ply light fingering with 100% superwash merino, and it's got approximately 400 meters on the 100-gram yarn cake. And that is the colorway name. And this is the yarn. I love it. I love this yarn. Oh, this color combination is just stunning. Anyway, so I just started this little shawl. This little stitch marker is a gift from my friend Liani, and it is by Annegret from Tunisian Crafts. This was actually in the yarn swap that we are doing, that we are calling year-end fun, because we wanted to have some fun in December while we are going on holiday and just count down to the new year and just have some fun. So this was in as a little extra from that. So I just moved the marker up a little bit, and I know you would not be able to see this on camera, but this pink of this little heart is actually sparkly. If you look at it closely, you can see it glitters a little bit. It's beautiful, and I love hearts. So that is just it. And if you look at, I'm just showing the back now, but if you are looking at the beautiful colors, I really like love the way this is working up. It's got a little faux I-cord edging that you work as you knit the little shawl, and I'm really enjoying this. I did not gauge swatch. I decided I'll just be living on the wild side. It's just a shawl, so I'm knitting it on 3.5mm needles as per suggested in the pattern, and I'm just having fun. I'm really enjoying the garter, and yes, really love this. All right, maybe before I show you my socks that became a whip again, so while we are on the topic of the yarn swap, my friend Liani from Independence Yarn Crafts and I decided in June or July or something that we are going to do a little yarn swap for fun in December, and we are going to make socks, stripy socks. So I'm not going to go into detail about this project because technically it is a surplus yarn project, and I will talk about all of the details and all of the things in the next episode of the Surplus Yarn Stories, which will be at the end of the month, the last Sunday of December, if all goes to plan. And I just wanted to show you the socks quickly because I did show the toes, and I really like these socks. They are so fun. I'm just going to quickly show them, and then you can have something to look forward to in the next episode of the Surplus Yarn Stories. Such prettiness. Alrighty, so that is that. So what happened with my project that was finished and became a whip again? Well, I will tell you. So I wrote a pattern for toe-up socks with a heel flap and gusset, and I published the first sock patterns in October of 2022. So sometime during this year I decided I think I can improve on this heel. So what happened is I did a few tests and things, and then when I was developing the method for this heel, the gusset increase amounts have changed. So what happened is I actually knit my first prototype a little bit too long, and then I did not wear them. I wore them once, and then I decided it really is too long, and then I just put them to the side, and I was taking all of this new information into consideration when I designed the stripy bird hide socks, which was the make along socks for Socktober, and that length came out beautifully. But these, which was my shorty socks, is too long. So the foot length is too long, and I just ripped this back because it is a shorty. So I just ripped back the cuff back to where I started my gusset increases, back to where I should have started my gusset increases, and then just started knitting away. So this is the original finished sock. I have not ripped this one back yet. It is on my agenda and to-do list to do maybe today. And then this one I did rip back, and I started the gusset increases a little bit earlier, and here you can see the foot length difference. It's, I think, 4 rows less than my toe. So that was a big boo-boo. So this is the foot lengths that is suggested in the stripy bird hide socks, and the change of the heel. And I really like this a lot. It fits very well, and yes, I think it looks even a little more like a cuff down sock with heel flap and gusset. But anyway, so I'm very happy with that. I already finished this one. I am knitting my stripy socks in tandem with both of my 2.25mm 9-inch circulars. So I actually used my 2.25 Knit Pro Smart Sticks DPNs for this, and really like that as well. I'm getting better and better with the DPNs. I do have a little bit of maybe a 2 or 3 rows doing a little bit of a laddery thing, but it's not that bad. It's definitely not what it was when I started. So I'm getting better. So I'm going to rip out the second sock back to where it should be, and then I'm going to fix this pair of socks as well, because I would really like to wear them. I just had so much things on my plate. I did not have the brain space to actually do the maths and see how many rows I have knit too much and all of those things, but now I do, and I'm gonna fix these very soon. They're gonna be done definitely by the next episode. The moment I'm done with these socks, because I need the DPNs, I'm going to start another pair of socks for Anton, my husband. I think I might use the opal yarn that I bought at the Johannesburg Stoepmark, the beautiful blue one. I think I did show it. Did I show it? I'm not sure. I did definitely post a picture on my Instagram, but I think I might use that and the DPNs and knit a pair of socks for him as well. He's very knit worthy, and I think he always deserves a new pair of socks. I also want to try my theory of maybe doing a lighter color foot for summer socks, and see if that also helps a little bit with heat. I do know that the merino yarn, because it's a natural yarn, has both properties of being cool and hot, and it keeps you more dry than actual cotton. But I really am thinking of testing this theory of light colored socks. How I would keep them clean, I have no idea, but it's something we can try, and if it does not work for work socks, then we'll just wear them at the house when we are not in dirty conditions. Anyway, I think that is everything for all of the projects that I can share today. I have lots of plans, so let's talk about that in what's been happening. So I'm just sitting here and I'm in such a good mood, and I'm so relaxed because most of the baking work is done for this year. Obviously I'm still baking for the house, and this morning I watched Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady's Vlogmas episode, and she was baking cookies, and I was like, no, now you have done it. Now I am craving some cookies. So after this podcast recording, I might go and bake some ginger cookies, because I have taken out the butter. Now she has reminded me of cookies, and now I cannot help myself. I need to have some cookies. So maybe it's a good thing that I do that today, because then next week I don't have to bake that much things, just some bread or so for the house. But yes, my leave starts after tomorrow. So today I am still working on some knit design projects, and I'm trying to streamline and organize my notes and all of my things, because at the moment my systems is not working that well. But anyway, I've not decided exactly what I'm going to do yet, but yes, if I find something that works very well, I will definitely keep you posted. But that is one of the things that I would like to do in my leave, is investigate more organizing styles for knit notes and my knitting pattern things. I do have a book, but it's sometimes a little bit hard to keep track of everything. But anyway, so that is things that I'm going to do on leave, is I'm looking into all of my paper here on my work table that needs to be organized and put into places where it needs to be. And then I have some sewing projects to complete that I'm looking forward to. I am also considering starting, I'm definitely going to start a new garment project for myself. I'm just not sure if I'm going to do the Reika top and if I want to try my hand at camisole number 4 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I think I have enough yarn to maybe do both. I'm not sure. And the thing that makes me wonder which one I want to do is because my first Reika top that I did was not 100% success. It seems that I always make my garments at the bust too big. So I'm thinking of maybe if I do that, I must go down a garment size or maybe 2, and then maybe increase the body like I did for the Bella blouse. I mean, that fits much better, because even now if I look at the Reika top, I sewn up the under the arm to get the hole a little bit smaller, because it is ribbing, it just cinch in a little bit so it doesn't really show. It's not like the fabric sits in a little bump. But I do know now what I don't like about that size, and maybe it would be wise to make another one and change all the things that I didn't like about that one. But then I'm also very keen on trying something new. So you will see in the next episode what I decide on. I haven't made a decision yet. The only thing that I know for a fact is that I'm using the L 4-ply yarn in the light blue that I bought at Arthur Bales, also when going to the Johannesburg Stoepmark. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to start with. Most probably it will be the Reika top, but you never know. Maybe I get adventurous and decide to do something new. So that is that. And then, I do have another project that I would like to do before the end of the year. She says it being the 14th of December, as if the end of the year is like 2 months away. It's only like 17 days. But never mind. So I'm going to attempt to also finish up the pair of leg warmers that I knit earlier this year. It is something that I freestyled for my husband, and I did it in a 100% acrylic yarn. I finished the first one, and then when we had one of these cold days in the summer, I asked him to wear just the one and see how it fits, and it seems to be a perfect fit. So I'm going to knit the second one in the acrylic yarn, and then I will see in the next year, maybe make some more in like a merino yarn or a blend of wool and whatever. So we shall see. But I would like to actually try and finish that as well. I don't think there's any other projects, knit projects, that I would really like to finish this year. I did mark a few projects as frogged, even though I haven't frogged them, but I stopped working on them because they weren't really bringing me that much joy anymore. And I think it might be a thing of just because I'm freestyling it and my brain couldn't think out any more things. So one of them is the striped tank top that I was trying to make with the beige and purple cotton, and the other one was like a vest type of jacket thing that I freestyled. But yeah, I don't think I will continue on those two projects anymore. But there's nothing wrong with the yarn. You can always do things with the yarn, other things. Anyway, I think that is it. I'm just rambling now a little bit. So I'm going to go and I'm going to bake some cookies because I now have a craving for cookies. And yeah, I'm looking forward to my leave. And I think there will be one more podcast in this year. I think it goes up on the 30th of December, one day before the surplus yarn stories. So yes, I will still see you again in this year. I hope that you have some nice quality time that you are planning out for yourself or with family. And yes, I'm definitely planning on doing some resting and enjoying some quality time with family. So that is it from me for this episode. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you're new here, I hope that you enjoyed this content and that you will consider sticking around. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see any more of my content. And I will see you in the next one. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.